Madrid have somehow ended up top of the La Liga table going into the international break. Even after the humiliation that we suffered at the Metropolitana, thanks to Barcelona's humiliation suffered at the hands of Sevilla, we are going into the international break 2 points ahead of Barcelona. I gotta be honest, I did not see this coming. I did not see Barcelona dropping points. I did not see Barcelona getting embarrassed. I did not see Barcelona getting thumped 4-1. I'm very, very happy it happened, but I can't lie. At most, I was hoping for a draw. At most, I was just hoping we could get some sort of advantage over them going into the international break. But I didn't really see it happening. To be completely honest, I was just hoping we win our game so that we can go into the international break at least 1 point behind them. But no, we are going into it 2 points ahead. Now let's start with Barcelona, because I didn't get to watch the match, but I saw the highlights. I didn't get to watch the Sevilla match, and I'm so sad I didn't get to watch it, because it seemed like a match I would have very, very, very much enjoyed. But I saw the chances, I saw the highlights, and I saw the opportunities. And one thing I have to say, and even though I keep hearing Barcelona played very, very badly and it was one of their worst performances, one thing I have to say is that they were very, very close to winning this game. Very, very close. Now, one thing I noticed is Barcelona are kind of doing a similar thing to Liverpool, to an extent. Liverpool have been playing horrendously this year, but they keep coming away with victories thanks to goals in the very, very last minute. And Barcelona, though not playing horrendously, keep finding themselves struggling or a goal down or having to come back into the game and only then winning games. Like, they've done that a few times this season, and it's very, very similar. But the difference is Liverpool's luck ran out and now they're on 3 losses in a row. Barcelona didn't seem like their luck was running out. It just seemed like they just kept going and kept scrapping away at victories and picking up dubs and picking up 3 points. No matter how bad they started, no matter how bad they played, no matter how much they were getting dominated out in parts of the game. Because the opposition couldn't take their chances, because they were keeping Barcelona in the game, they kept coming away with victories. And that almost happened today against Sevilla. Or not today, but that almost happened in the Sevilla game. 2-1 up. Sevilla gave away a penalty, and Lewandowski could have easily made that game 2-2. And at 2-2, I know I'm putting my money on Barcelona to come away with something more than Sevilla. But he missed an absolute poor penalty by the experienced Barcelona frontman, but he missed, and the game is still 2-1. Then, I think it was still 2-1. What's his name? Ronnie Baldaggi or something like that? That guy that they bought recently for like 2 million. He got through on goal. A nice piece of work, a nice bit of pace. He was through on goal, but then a lackluster, and lackluster is being nice, finish, and he ends up hitting it right at the keeper. And then after that, Sevilla punished them. They fully punished them. One thing I noticed about Sevilla's goals and their opportunities and the chances they were creating, there is a pattern with Barcelona, right? Their defensive line is so high. They're literally on the halfway line for a majority of games. And last year, it was phenomenal and it was new. And teams were trying to figure out a way to play against it, but never could really do so. Every team was getting dominated. Every team was more or less getting hammered. There was a period where they were kind of suffering, and there was times where they looked like they're going to struggle. And then the fact the high line is what cost them in the Champions League against Inter Milan, because even while they were up with a minute or 2 left, they were still playing the same way and ended up costing them a place in the Champions League final. But it seems like this year, teams have found out. Teams have kind of figured out how to play against them, because we saw it against Rayo Vallecano. Now, we have to keep in mind that all these games were away from home. Now, these weren't games that were at home for Barcelona. These were away from home, but even still, half of the games in a league season are away from home. So if they're going to keep struggling like this away from home, then that just means good things for Real Madrid, right? But we saw it against Rayo Vallecano. They were terrorizing that high line. They were constantly picking it apart. Because I think teams have realized, and one thing I noticed, is they don't give it to the front man. It's not the front man's run that they pick out. It's the midfielders. Midfielders are now making runs because the line is so high, because there's so much space, and because the main defenders focus on the attackers. The attackers still make their runs, but they know, the players know, that the attacker is very, very likely going to be in an offside position, or he is being tracked. But that midfielder making a run straight through the gap that the attacker is opening up, that's the player you pass the ball to. And we saw it consistently with Rayo Vallecano against Barcelona, and we saw it consistent with Sevilla against Barcelona. They weren't giving it to the front man. They were giving it to the midfielder running through the middle, or they were giving it to the winger or the fullback running out wide, and that was beating the offside trap. That was beating Barcelona's line, because they were running from so deep that they couldn't be offside. It's not impossible, but it's just very much more less likely, as opposed to the striker who's trying to time his run, and even if you give it to him, he's already got a player on him. These making the run through or making the run out wide, they're not being tracked because all eyes are on the ball and making sure they're watching their players. And obviously it's easy to say after a loss and nitpick this stuff, but if we look at it from the perspective of the Barcelona line, there's only two places they can really look. And both of them are in the same direction. They're looking at the ball and they're looking at their line. They can't look at the ball, look at their line, look at the extra man making the run and look behind them. Do you get me? So I think that's how teams are finding them out and making opportunities. I hope we do that when we come back and in a couple of weeks, and the Clasico is literally one game away in the league. I hope we can also do that. But they ended up picking up a thumping, embarrassing 4-1 loss, and we are 2 points ahead. Now let's focus on Real Madrid. And I don't have as much to say about Real Madrid, especially in the Villarreal game. I have a little bit to say about Vini and Fede, but let's start with the overall score. Phenomenal result. Phenomenal result. Some of the players were playing fantastic. Mastantuono is impressing me so much. I have been so impressed by this 18-year-old. Freshly turned 18-year-old. This guy literally turned 18 in what? I think it was the 15th of August. And on the 16th, he was getting presented at the Bernabeu. It was something crazy like that. He is literally 18 months and 18 years, sorry, like 2 months old. And he is playing as if he's been playing on that right wing his whole career. He is just so good on the ball, as well as his work rate and willingness to run off the ball are phenomenal. And he is very, very much becoming a very, very hard name to take off the team sheet. He really is. It's becoming very, very difficult to not put him in the starting 11, which is fantastic for an 18-year-old. Besides him, Mbappe doing what he has been doing for the whole season. He's back on the score sheet and even got an assist. I mean, it wasn't much of an assist, but Vini's goal ended up with a Kylian Mbappe assist because he was the one who passed him the ball before the ball ended up in the back of the net. So another great performance from Kylian, doing what he does and what he needs to do. Midfield, I was also very impressed with. I was actually impressed with. And that leads me... Actually, no, we'll come back to that because that was going to lead me to my only negative. But let's continue with the positives. Vini Jr. Vinicius Jr. Finally, we've seen the Vini we want to see. This is Vini's level. This is the level we expect from Vini. This is the level we want from Vini. This is what Vini can do and what we need him to do consistently. Because he was terrorising his fullback. He was constantly a problem. He always wanted the ball. His teammates knew what he was on today, and all they wanted to do was give him the ball. This is what we need from Vini. He doesn't need to always score. He doesn't need to always assist, but he needs to always be a problem because he has that in the locker, and that's what he can do, and that's what we need from him. And I might be kind of reaching here, but I just feel like Kylian Mbappe joining the team and constantly being involved in the stats, in the goals, in the assists, has made Vini kind of think that, oh, maybe I need to get a goal or assist or I'm not playing well. And that talk he had with Ronaldo a while ago, Ronaldo said, you need to score. You can do all the other flashy stuff, but you need to score goals within games or something along those lines. I just remember Vini saying that he had a word with Ronaldo, and that's pretty much what Ronnie said to him. I think these things might have played a part, but again, I might be reaching. But all I know is if Vini plays like this, we will be a problem in attack and we will be a problem to stop offensively. Because when you have Mbappe doing what he's been doing all season, you have Mastantuono doing what he's about, have Vini doing what he can do, and then you have man like Arda, Guler and man like Jude, Bellingham feeding them, and then you have the fullbacks in Trent, Alexander-Arnold and Carreras getting involved. Then you have a very, very big problem offensively, but we need Vini to do this, and I'm very, very happy he is doing this because it's been a minute since I've been this excited with what Vini's done on the pitch and what he's going to do every time he receives the ball. So hopefully it continues because he was phenomenal. Now, on to maybe the only negative of the video, or maybe the only negative as far as Real Madrid is concerned. We lost nothing in midfield without Fede being there. We actually lost nothing. And I know I love Fede as much as any other Madridista loves Fede. This guy plays with his heart on his sleeve. I've said this in the video I dedicated to him where I was kind of going off on him. He runs his socks off. He does everything and gives everything for the team and for the badge. But when Carlo Ancelotti was the manager and nobody ran, Fede stood out for how much he ran. But now that Xabi Alonso is the manager and everybody is running, we need to seriously ask the question, what is Fede Valverde offering on the ball? As a midfielder, what is he offering on the ball that makes us have to play him, or makes Xabi Alonso have to play him in midfield over a Arda or a Jude? That's the question I need to ask. Because without him in midfield today, with Ceballos in midfield today, we were fantastic. Ceballos was very, very good. And I don't like Ceballos. I'm not his biggest fan, but he was phenomenal today. And you have to give a player props for when he does put in a great performance. He was fantastic today. And to be honest with him, to be fair to him, he has been very, very good every time he has played. I don't like how long he holds on to the ball, but I cannot deny every time Ceballos plays, he offers something, he brings something, and he is very, very good. So props to him. Arda Guler doing what he's been doing all season. Mane doing what he does all season. What does Fede Valverde do? Because now Jude Bellingham is back. And Jude Bellingham's going to get a tiny mini pre-season before we return in a couple of weeks. He's not going off with England. He's going to get a couple of weeks just to train and get back to full match fitness. In 2 weeks' time, Jude Bellingham's going to be ready to start. And my midfield that I want is going to be Jude Bellingham, Arda Guler, and Aurelien Tchouameni. Tell me who you're taking out of that midfield for Fede. Because the only player I'm taking out of that midfield for Fede is maybe Tchouameni. But I like Tchouameni more as a CDM than I like Fede. I like Tchouameni more as a destroyer of the opposition attacks than I like Fede. You're not on the ball. Is Fede offer more than Arda? No, he does not. No, he does not. Because Arda is creating the most chances of any midfielder in world football right now, or in the top 5 leagues at least. He has been fantastic in his chance creation and what he offers to our team offensively. And then you have Jude Bellingham. Jude Bellingham might be the best offensive midfielder in world football, or maybe the best two-way midfielder in world football. There is not a more complete midfielder in world football than Jude Bellingham. Jude Bellingham has Fede's running. He has his willingness. He has his sacrifice that he's willing to do for the team. But Jude Bellingham is also a problem when we're on the ball. Whether he's playing the final pass or getting on the end of a final pass, Jude Bellingham is a problem. So tell me, who are you taking out of the midfield to fit Fede Valverde in? My argument used to be you take Mastantuono out when Fede's back, or when Jude is back, and you keep the midfield and you maybe push Fede or Arda Guler out wide into Mastantuono's position. But no, Mastantuono is earned the right to be a starter and hold that right wing position. So who do you take out of the midfield for Fede now that Jude's back? Or who do you take out of the midfield now that Jude is back? I'm taking out Fede. I am taking out Fede because we lose the least when Fede's not there. We lose more if Arda's not playing. We lose more if Jude's not playing. We don't lose as much when Fede's not playing. But anyway, this wasn't supposed to be me going off on Fede. We already did that in a video. I am very, very happy to be going into the international break as La Liga leaders. Now we get a 2-week break, at least for some of our players. I cannot wait for club football to return because then the big games start. We have Liverpool, we have Barcelona, we have Juventus. We have a whole bunch of very, very big games. But I'm going to call the video there. Thanks for watching and peace.